Hello, and welcome to the Murder House Radio Show. I'm your host, X. On this show, we will be covering serial killers, mass shooters, disappearances, true crime, and the most deplorable things and people in history. All that good, dark stuff. The Murder House Radio Show will be a radio show slash podcast. I'll be uploading videos every Friday at 4 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Once you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification and select all to get all notifications if you are viewing on YouTube. And hit follow if you are listening on a podcasting platform. So sit down, get comfortable, grab some coffee or whatever your preferred beverage is, turn off the lights, and enjoy the show. Hey guys, how's your week going? I hope it's going good, and I hope your Friday is going good. Let me know how it's going down in the comments below. Mine's going pretty good so far. I can't complain. But yeah, if you wish to ask for some advice to be covered at the end of the podcast/broadcast, the podcast email will be in the description. It'll be covered at the end of the podcast if there is any. As well, the links for the sources will be in the description. So without any further ado, let's get into today's video. So today's episode will be on Peter Howard Moore, and he was born on the 19th of September, 1946. He is a British serial killer who managed cinemas in Baglit, Holyhead, Kinmel Bay, and Denbigh in North Wales. You'll have to forgive me with those pronunciations. But he managed these cinemas at the time of his arrest, and he murdered 4 men in 1995. Due to his attire, he was dubbed the Man in Black. Yo, that's low-key my nickname. On the low, I wear a lot of black, pretty much all black, all the time, almost. So it says here between September and December 1995, he stabbed to death and mutilated 4 men for fun, and he was sentenced to life in prison in November 1996 with a recommendation that he never be released. He also committed 39 sex attacks on men in North Wales and the Merseyside area over a 20-year span. Holy. So his victims were Henry Roberts, and this was a 56-year-old man who lived in Angsley, and he was stabbed to death in September of 95. The second victim, Edward Carthy, was a 28-year-old man who Moore met in a gay bar, and he was stabbed to death in a forest west of Denbighshire in East Conway, Wales. So he was stabbed to death around that area. I can't pronounce the name of this forest. But this happened in October 1995. His third victim, Keith Randalls, a 49-year-old traffic manager, stabbed to death in November 95 on the A5 road in Angsley. And his fourth and last known victim here is Anthony Davis, 40 years old, and he was stabbed to death on Penzarn Beach in Arborgell in December 95. So all these attacks were all knife attacks. It says here as well that when he ran his theaters, he had a fixation on Jason Voorhees from the Friday the 13th movie series, which is kind of interesting because, as we all know, or if you don't know, that Jason Voorhees uses machetes and other hand weapons, and sometimes his bare hands, so that kind of makes sense, but it'd make a little more sense if it was Halloween. since all his attacks were knife attacks, and Michael Myers' attacks are all knife attacks as well, for the most part. So it's interesting here. It says during his trial, Moore told the jury the crimes were committed by a homosexual lover he nicknamed Jason, after the killer in the Friday the 13th horror films. The jury found him guilty on all counts. And then, of course, he was sentenced to life in prison. So it also says here, during his time in imprisonment, in Wakefield Prison, Moore befriended Harold Shipman. I did a video on him as well. The serial killer and former GP who hanged himself on January 2004. In June 2008, Moore was told by the High Court that he would spend the rest of his life in prison. However, on the 3rd of March 2011, it was reported that Moore will be challenging the ruling in the European Court of Human Rights with a view to have his sentence quashed and such sentences outlawed throughout Europe. Well, I mean, if you killed a bunch of people, I don't really see why you should be allowed out of prison. Like, let's be real here. Like, unless you are, like, actually, like, mentally sick, like, schizophrenic sick, it should be an indeterminate amount of time. But, like, if you're a smart, cunning serial killer or whatnot, then you should just be locked under the prison or whatever. There's no place for people like that in society. Same with pedophiles and rapists. But pedophiles and rapists should all be shot on the spot after conviction. But that's just my humble opinion. It says here in July 2000, Peter Moore lost his fight to win £160,000 worth of damages from North Wales police. He accused the police of failing to protect his house following his arrest in 1995, but a district judge at Leeds Court agreed the case should be struck out on the grounds that Moore had no realistic chance of winning it at trial. Well, I mean, if you get arrested for killing 4 people and, like, the police toss your house and shit, that's your fault, bro. You're the one who's out here murdering people. But I mean, if you were innocent and they tossed your house or whatever, fuck out of here with that bullshit, but you know. But yeah, and then especially once you're convicted, I don't think that's your house anymore, bro, because you know, you're all up in prison now. But anyway, he appeared in court flanked by heavy security and did not have legal representation. Oof. In 1999, he won nearly £13,000 compensation from a couple he claimed had stolen content of his house. Well, shit. Including gardening gnomes. Well, that's fucking interesting. He claimed neighbors Les Brandshaw and Pauline Priderich abused and offered from him to become caretaker of his property by selling his belongings at a car boot sale. Okay. I mean, is he truly guilty then? Because, like, he's worried about some petty ass shit other than, like, the 4 murder charges he should be worried about. Like, goddamn, bro. Like, if I was facing 4 murder charges, I don't give a fuck what you do with my shit. I'm worried about beating these murder charges, bro. Like, holy fuck. Yeah, let me know what you think of this case, or if you know more, because there's not much more about this case. What are your thoughts on this? Do you think this guy actually did it? Because I'm not sure if he confessed or not, but you know, I will keep looking into it. But let me know what you guys think about this case. Oh, so he's serving 4 life sentences. Word. All good, all good. It says here that he was also dubbed or tagged the gay serial killer and he killed 4 men, like I said earlier, but only 3 of them were actually gay. So that's interesting. So finally, some stuff about his early life. So he was born in Kimmel Bay, and he lived with his mother Edith until she died. However, it doesn't say when or how she died, but dotted on by Edith, who called Peter her miracle son, as she didn't think she could have kids. They had an incredibly good and close relationship, and after she died, he was brought up in Darlington House on St. Asp Ave. But Moore had a relatively privileged upbringing and lived in one of the nicest parts of town. And fascinated by film and home video recordings, Moore went on to own 4 small cinemas across North Wales, like I mentioned earlier. But that's still not much about his upbringing, but it seems like a fairly normal upbringing. But we all know that if you dig into the foster care system and stuff, there can be some pretty messed up stuff that goes on in the foster care system, like a bunch of rape, abuse, and even homicides of the children who live there by the hands of staff and hell, even other children. So yeah. It doesn't say anything like that happened to him, but it's very possible. It says here that he ran a Saturday club where children could buy sweets and watch films for reasonable prices. It says here that when police entered Moore's childhood home after the murders, they found cuddly toys next to a Nazi flag, handcuffs, and military uniforms. Well, that's interesting. So it says here that the Robert victim, he was stabbed 27 times when he was found. Like, that's how he was found. Stabbed 27 times. His death left the community stunned as to why someone would want him dead, because he was known as a very nice and harmless dude who wouldn't hurt a fly. Mr. Roberts wasn't found immediately. His body was dumped in the yard outside his house. So outside his home, with his pet Labrador trapped inside the house. Oh, that's fucking sad. That poor dog probably saw the body of his owner and was like, yo, what the fuck? Something's not right. And yeah, that's fucked up, bro. And then it says here that Keith Randalls was last seen getting fish and chips and then walking home. And that's the last time he was seen alive. And then workmen found his body outside his cavern at 7:30 a.m. the next morning. That is wild. Wild. It's not really known why he was doing all this, but when Moore was being questioned by the police, he said to the questioning officers that he was attacking his victims for fun. Like, he said he would say this to his victims, that he's attacking them for fun, and that he took a certain enjoyment in killing them or whatnot. But yeah, Moore is still in prison, and he's about 22 years into his life sentence for the 4 murders. So that's pretty wild. But there's not much on why he did it or all that stuff, just what he did for work and all that stuff, how he is viewed by the community. And then of course the murders, which I detailed, but there's not much detail about those even, and his trial and all that stuff. But he's still alive and swinging. How old would he be now? Hold on. So as of today, he's about 75 years old, and he's in prison, obviously still. But yeah, there's not much more about him. So as I said earlier, let me know down in the comments below if you know anything more, or hell, even if you knew this guy, because I know I got some viewers from the UK. So let me know. But that's definitely definitely interesting stuff. But this podcast has been a short this episode, so I guess I'll talk about a little bit of stuff from where I am in the world. Not going to give you too much specifics, but I am from Canada, and where I live in Canada, fucking they put new restrictions in for COVID and stuff, which is kind of bullshit because I had to cancel my tattoo appointment. I was supposed to get the upper half of my second sleeve done and whatnot, but I guess fucking not. They're like, alright, gotta wait 3 weeks for everything to open up again, if it's gonna open up again, which is kindergarten fucking bullshit. I think they should just open everything back up and say, fuck it, herd immunity, boys, herd immunity. But, you know, it'd be like that. It'd be like that sometimes. Honestly, sometimes I think this whole COVID thing is nothing more than just the flu and they're just overreacting or whatever. But I'm not a doctor, so you know. But I do listen to the doctors. I listen to the doctors because they know what they're talking about. Because that's their fucking job. I'd expect them to know what they're talking about because they spend fucking 12 years of their life and hard earned money in school studying to be doctors. And then the scientists know what they're talking about too because they probably spend a fuckload of time in school to know what they're talking about. So, you know. There is that. But yes, last week's video was about a Nazi, so if you want me to cover more of the notorious Nazis and stuff, let me know, because I can definitely do that. I do find World War II and all of that stuff very interesting. It's all very interesting to me. All these dark topics are very interesting. But yeah, do you guys think COVID will ever end? Leave it down in the comments. I don't know, man, cuz like this is how I would do it if I wanted to take over some shit. I'm into them conspiracy theories, bro. Like yeah, like it's easy. Make a pandemic, blah 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 blah. Oh, you have to stay inside for your own protection. We're gonna keep you inside for your own protection. Then we're gonna make laws to keep you inside for your own protection. And then we'll have if you get out of line and protest, we'll have cops forcing you to go to jail and stay inside for your own protection. And then it's pretty much illegal to leave your house for anything unessential. And then if they start shutting down everything that's essential, oh, we'll just deliver food to you when you're inside or whatever. It's all good. It's all for your safety, bro. It's all for your safety. And it's bullshit. And then they will conquer and divide. Like, hey, get your vaccine and we'll register you, and you can pretty much go back to normal. But if you don't register, everything will be taken away from you. Like if you have your passport or whatever, your vaccine passport. Like, hey, show me your vaccine passport so you can scan it and get into this place or whatever to prove you have your vaccine. And if you have it, they're like, all right, you can come in. But if not, you can't come in because you don't have your vaccine shots or whatever. It's pretty much what the Nazis did in World War II to the Jews. It's just a different circumstance. Now it would just be people who are not vaccinated. That's just in my conspiracy theory mind working away. But you know, it just be like that. Conspiracy theories are a wild thing. That's not what I necessarily believe, but I do believe there's something more at play than just a fucking silly cold. Cause you know, the world is definitely a wild, wild place. But yeah, I don't think I have much more to talk about, and we sadly do not have any advice emails. But yeah, one day maybe I'll call up a serial killer in prison or start writing one and ask if they want to do a phone interview. So I know you guys would definitely like to hear that. I'd have to work on my interviewing, get some questions down pat. But it would definitely be interesting. There's a bunch of killers that are still alive who I could interview them or whatnot, and it would definitely be interesting. I've talked to some crazy people in my life or whatever. Quite literally, some people who have done some terrible things for sure. But I've not talked to anybody who has killed somebody that I know of, which would be interesting. It'd be very, very interesting. Let me know if you guys would like to see that. But I think that about wraps it up. So that is Peter Moore. Thank you for listening to this episode on the Murder House Radio Show. I hope you have a good rest of your Friday or whenever you are listening to this. Check out the social medias and the sources in the description below. Make sure you hit the like and subscribe button. Once you hit the subscribe button, hit the bell notification and select all to get all notifications if you are listening on YouTube. If you are listening on a podcasting platform, hit follow. Leave your suggestions for future episodes in the comments. See you next episode. This is your host X, signing off.